Welcome, everybody, to another episode of The Shadows Podcast. I am your host, Trip Bodenheimer, and today I am joined on the show by someone I grew up watching. I know that probably doesn't make him feel good saying that, but I grew up watching him as a kid. Have him here on the podcast with me today. Played at the University of North Carolina, also had a professional career as well. Shammond Williams, thank you very much for joining us here.
Thank you for having me, Trip. I appreciate it. Great deal.
So he has a remarkable story. He went from pretty much no D1 offers to play in professional basketball, which is just remarkable. And it's often said that sports mirrors life, discipline, drama, hard work, ritual, sacrifice, strategy, winning and losing, that all goes into it. And his journey has every bit of that. And we're also going to tie in little pieces from that, from the Carolina Way, Leadership Lessons on Life and Coaching, one of my favorite leadership books, probably most underrated leadership book, I think, by former head coach Dean Smith. But before we get into that, I'm going to start off with some rapid fire questions. You could play for any college program other than North Carolina in 2021. Who would that be?
If I could play for anybody, it would probably be Georgetown.
Georgetown, okay.
Because Patrick Ewing's my guy. He was my veteran when I played in the NBA, and so if I could go back and play, I would play for him to try to help him get that thing on track up there.
Yeah, they could use you right there. So
yeah, I would love to have an opportunity to play for him for sure.
Okay, so Georgetown. Yeah. Explain to a non-sports fan or a non-Tar Heel fan what exactly the Carolina family means.
It's my life. Everything that I try to live toward, within basketball, is predicated off of my experiences at the University of North Carolina and playing for Dean Smith. He was before his time. He most definitely was the best coach that I've ever played for, one of the two best coaches I've ever played for. And he showed that coaching didn't have anything to do with the X's and O's. It had everything to do with the person, and like you said, the leadership, and being able to, identify with people so they knew that you cared. Yeah. And I think he knew, once people knew that he cared for you, then they will run through a wall for you. So, the Carolina Way is extremely important. Everything that Coach Smith did, I try to emulate. And we have a family, and it recycles itself each and every year, and the standards don't change within the game of basketball and outside the lines of basketball as well.
Yeah, I think with your podcast especially is a prime example, from all the different like generations of Tar Heels that you have on there. And then when you see them at like the Final Four and stuff, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Interesting fact that not a lot of people know about you.
I was a better musician than I was a basketball player.
Really?
Yeah. When I left high school, I didn't have an opportunity to go to college on a Division I athletic scholarship. But I did have a music scholarship that I could have taken to go to the University of Georgia. I was probably the best drummer in the state of South Carolina, percussionist in the state of South Carolina. My friend and I was one of two freshmen to ever go to the Fine Arts Center as freshmen in high school. And so I do have a background in music as well, that many people may not know.
Okay. That's pretty interesting. And then I really want to see your answer on this one. One jersey not hanging up at the Smith Center that should be hanging up there, if you could pick one.
I would say it would have to be Max Owens, probably.
Really? Max Owens. Okay. How come?
Yeah. because I felt like Max Owens was extremely talented, uh, great individual, great person, awesome teammate. A lot of people didn't get an opportunity to see him play like I personally felt like he should have gotten an opportunity to play because he was so talented. And I would love to have seen his jersey up there because of the things that he sacrificed and the things that he had endured to play at the University of North Carolina. I respect him a great deal. I respect, the things that he fought through to have an opportunity to showcase himself. And even though he didn't get a great deal of opportunity like most of us, I felt like if that opportunity presented itself consistently, he would most definitely been in the rafters.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting answer. I would honestly say Kennedy Meeks for me, because I don't know if they beat Oregon. I don't know he made some key plays against Gonzaga as well.
Right. So
I think that would probably be mine. But yeah, Max Owens, that's a name I hadn't heard in a while. So first question, I'll just jump straight to your Carolina experience. We talked about how you didn't have a lot of offers coming out of high school. What was it that got you to Chapel Hill?
I had an opportunity to go to Fork Union Military Academy out of high school. And so I did a postgraduate year at Fork Union Military Academy where I played for a great coach in Fletcher Arrett, one of the greatest. With his teaching and the platform that he presented me, and with a lot of prayer, my life could, it drastically changed. A lot of my teammates that went to school with me at Fork Union Military Academy will tell you that a lot of the hypotheticals that we were presenting one another with became reality in a matter of weeks for me. And so it was an interesting experience. I always tell people, be careful what you ask the Lord for and make sure you're prepared for what you ask for. Because a lot of times when you're rewarded with what you ask for, you want to make sure that you're capable of handling it. And, for me, it was being able to handle, like I said, those hypothetical coaches that we would talk about and walking across campus. Those coaches were beginning to call me and offer me scholarships and things like that. So I understand that, my journey is a lot different than others. But I do understand the magnitude of the position that I was placed in. Making the choice to go to North Carolina wasn't an easy choice for me. It was an easy choice for my family, as I didn't even know who Dean Smith was when he came to the gym. So, he came to the gym to watch us because we would play on Tuesdays and Thursdays against one another after mess hall, and my coach pulled me off the floor and he said, "Coach Smith wants to talk to you after practice." And I was like, "Coach Smith?" I thought he was talking about one of the coaches at Virginia Tech or something.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, Dean Smith from the University of North Carolina." And it still really didn't stand out to me because I wasn't a North Carolina fan and I grew up a Clemson fan. And so, and so he said, "After you speak with Dean Smith, Rick Pitino wants to talk with you as well, who happened to be the head coach at Kentucky at the time." Mm-hmm. And so, that evening, a lot of things changed for me as an athlete, being offered by Dean Smith on the spot, which he told me he didn't do often. I think he had only done it 3-4 times. It may have been the fourth. The first time he's seen someone. And then Rick Pitino offered me a scholarship as well in the same night. To my teammates, it was a big deal, but to me, it was like, okay, because I wasn't a connoisseur or the magnitude of things just didn't really move me.
Yeah.
Not the type of person I am.
What was your first impression of Coach Smith?
He was cool. He was really cool. He had a peculiar voice.
Yep.
And he sat down, he had on the suit, sat down in front of me, and he began to talk, and he really made you feel warm. You know what I mean? Like Coach Smith was really great with people. And a lot of people may have thought that it was a facade, but no, that's just who he was. And you could feel the warmth off of him when he, had the conversation with you, and it really felt warm. And I trusted what he said just from the things that he said to me. He didn't promise me that I would start. He didn't promise me that I would play. But he felt like that I could help his program, and he liked what he saw in me. So it was a great first meeting with Coach Smith.
Yeah, it's funny, like little things that he did is often mentioned. And I remember when I mentioned Carolina basketball camp, and I went to it, and I was getting my photo taken with him. And that was like one of the big moments there, getting your certificate with him. And he had told me, when I walked up, he said, "Bodenheimer, are you Ed Bodenheimer's grandson?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." And I walked, and that was, he's like, "Well, tell him I said hello." And that's all that I said with him. And I walked off, and I was like, all the people he talks to and interacts with on a daily basis, and that name sparked something in him. I just thought that was the coolest thing, especially the older I get looking back at it.
Oh yeah. He had, as they say, he had the mind of an elephant. He didn't get anything. Yeah.
And you end up going to Carolina, and that your freshman year, you only averaged about 3 minutes, but y'all had a stacked team too. Donald Williams, Jerry Stackhouse, Rasheed Wallace. You go to the Final Four that year, but it's kind of interesting, like looking back at your journey that freshman year, because understanding like your role on that team, y'all are in the Final Four, but you're only averaging about 3 minutes a game. Talk to us about your mindset as a freshman at Chapel Hill.
Once the choice was made to go to Chapel Hill, I was there with Rasheed, Jerry, and Jeff. And so we all were in high school together.
Mm-hmm.
And I had played against Jeff and Jerry. And so I knew him. And so I didn't look at myself to be any different than those guys. And so I really felt like I probably deserved to play more as a freshman, but there was a senior that was there by the name of Pierce Landry. And I think it was really important for Coach Smith to make sure that he played. And so, I just remember like Coach telling me I couldn't dribble. Like, "Shammond, you don't dribble the ball well," and stuff like that. Because I think we in the inter squad scrimmage, the blue-white inter squad scrimmage, I think I had like 16 points, 11 assists. And I think my team won. And so I was like, yeah, I've arrived. And it was kind of like, pump your brakes, like, "Shammond, you carry the basketball when you dribble." And I was like, "Well, Coach, they didn't call him the dribbles in the blue-white. They didn't call him the carries in the blue-white game," Yeah, man. And I remember, Coach just making me dribble with Phil Ford like every day. And I accounted to, I guess you having certain type of mind games, or you want to make sure a person is fit for some environments. But I just attributed to, Coach wanting to be loyal and make sure that Pierce got the time that he deserved and he had earned, I guess, being part of that team. Because there's no way in the world you can tell me that you're going to recruit Shammond Williams to come to UNC as a point guard and he can't dribble. You can't convince me of that.
Yeah.
Coach Smith is smarter than that. And so with that being said, I think there were some underlying things that took place that kept me off the floor. And probably Shammond Williams kept me off the floor as well. But I think it was, it was an experience that I had to go through, that I went through, that only made me hungry.
What you know, through hindsight, looking back at your experience that freshman year, I know you interact a good bit with the guys that currently play at Carolina, but what advice would you give someone who's going through a similar situation where they feel they have more to give, but it's not necessarily, whether it's timing, experience, what advice would you give that individual?
Well, I mean, in life, you're going to experience things that, it may not go your way. You may have thoughts about the way something should go, and it doesn't happen. And my thing is, I can never let it break me.
Hmm.
And I had I had too much on the line. I felt like I had too much to prove. I felt like there was a lot of naysayers out there. I mean, a kid that leaves South Carolina that wasn't all state or anything like that at the University of North Carolina, you can only imagine, what people were saying about me, back in my environment that I come from. So even though I was experiencing that, I couldn't let it break me.
Yeah.
I had to stay focused and find, I had to dig from within, and it really showed my character,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm, the fight in me, just who Shammond Williams was going to become. That was just the beginning of it, and going through that, I call it basketball adversity. I think that's the point. That's the breaking point for most people. When you experience that basketball adversity in some people's um, careers, a lot of kids don't make it back from it. And I was just not going to allow that to happen, because I had something to prove. I really had something to prove.
And you came back that 90s or 96 season. Y'all had a little bit rougher year. Y'all were like, I think like a 6th seed in the tournament. And then how did your role change between your freshman year and then especially your coming out party was 97. So your junior year. What was the biggest change in you over that 2-3 year span?
Well, Coach Smith wanted me to play off the ball some because of my ability to shoot the basketball. And with my ability to shoot the basketball, he wanted me to play off the ball. And at first, I was very apprehensive about it, because I had always played point guard.
Mm-hmm.
And not playing much your freshman year, and then being asked to play off the ball some, being the backup point guard and then playing off the ball as well. It seemed as if they were trying to move me, but it wasn't the case. He was trying to use my skill. And it really was the best thing that ever happened to me because it allowed me and it allowed people to see me play in another role that I could be successful in. And I think it showed people that whatever environment I'm in, I'm gonna come out of it. I'm going to make the best of that environment. And so my sophomore year, I played behind Jeff as a backup point guard, and then I played off the ball as well. And who's gonna complain when you get more minutes? And so it allowed my minutes to go up, and I began to be looked upon to score the basketball, be an intricate part of scoring the basketball in some capacity. And I had some good games my sophomore year off the bench. And I think my last regular season game, my sophomore year, we were playing in Cameron, senior night, and ABC game. And Coach, I was sitting there, and Coach came to me. He was like, "Shammond, tonight, I just want you to be you. Just be you. Go out there and just be you and be comfortable in everything that you do." And he had never said this before, never. And so I was like, he said this for a reason. Okay. And so I proceeded to go out, and I think I had like 28 28, 29, 28 some odd points. And we beat Duke over in Cameron that year. And I think that's when people knew, that's when I think when people began to say, you know what, this kid has some talent.
Yeah.
And so that was my sophomore year.
Always a good feeling it has to be winning at Cameron. Anytime you get that.
Yeah. I mean, that experience in itself is exhilarating. It's a difficult place to play. Watching it on television really doesn't give you a gist of how Cameron is. But you know, it's the best rivalry in sports. I don't think there's another rivalry as competitive or means more, especially in collegiate sports, than the Carolina Duke basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think both institutions do a great job of having great programs year in and year out. And regardless of where you're ranked, that game is always, you know, the game that everybody shows up.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And I will say Duke, I respect the Duke program a lot, and I cannot, you go all different levels of professional and collegiate sports, home field advantage, you don't understand how important it is. And then a crowd, how important the crowd is until you look at this 2021 Duke basketball team where the Cameron Crazies aren't there. And it just does not feel the same watching them on television. They would not, in my opinion, they wouldn't be 11-8 at this moment we're recording if they had the Cameron Crazies there.
Right. I mean, but that holds true to a lot of programs.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, just having that extra boost.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, to be honest, even though it's not conducive to what society would like, I really like this environment because it allows you to see who these players are.
Talent.
Like, I mean, there's, like you said, there's no one to push you except yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, a lot of times in life, you know, you may encounter some things and you may want to quit. You have to push yourself. And, you know, I attribute that to, you know, having self-discipline, you know, having the discipline to say, you know what, this is what I have to do. I don't need anybody to tell me that this is what I have to do. This is my responsibility, you know, to myself and to others. And so with that being said, I must do these things because it's just the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Nobody has to tell me this is the right thing to do. So I must do this each and every time I'm doing whatever I'm doing, because, you know, I have the self-discipline to say, hey, you know what, to get to where I'm trying to get to, for this to work the best way it can possibly work, I have my job that I have to do each and every time I'm in this environment.
Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it. I was thinking that not too long ago. I was like, this is just like scrimmage game. This is just like seeing who's most talented out there, and not, like you said, adding that extra 10 points given to you pretty much from a crowd being there in your corner. Yeah. So you come back 97 season, like I said, that was kind of your coming out party. And that season, I mean, so many highs and lows throughout that year. Carolina starts off 0-3 in the ACC, which was, you know, at that time was like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? And it weren't like y'all were losing to bad teams either. You lost to Tim Duncan, Wake Forest teams. You lost to Maryland, who was kind of coming into their own at that point. But y'all go from 0-3 to winning 16 straight. What do you think was the turning point with that ball club?
Well, I think everybody was still trying to find themselves within that team. I think the roles hadn't been distinguished. And, you know, we just wasn't on one accord at that point in time. And then we had that loss, if I'm not mistaken, it may have been in Virginia. And
at Virginia.
Was it Virginia?
That
The
was that
third
was the
loss.
third loss. Yep.
Third loss. Yeah, third loss in Virginia, and we had a team meeting, and one of my teammates from Greenville, North Carolina, Webb Tyndall, he said, he stood up and he said, guys, never forget it. He said, guys like this, he said, we're just a hand. He said, there's no punch in this. There's no way that you can fight anybody like this with an open hand. He said, but when we do like this, he said, I'm pretty sure we'll have a powerful punch and it'll be impactful.
Hmm.
And that statement right there, I think meant a lot to a lot of people, even for those who didn't know. I think it meant a lot. And for me, it made me begin to, I guess, trust myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's not like I didn't trust myself, but now I'm the point guard. And, I did know that everything that goes on is predicated because of me, because I'm the point guard. And there was no way in the world that I was going to allow something like that to happen. And lo and behold, we got it together, man, and we began running.
Yeah, y'all did, and you did too. You actually were the ACC tournament MVP. I remember watching that ACC tournament, and then you were also the East Regional MVP. So I mean, you were on fire there. And but in between winning the East Regional and the ACC tournament, y'all get Coach Smith win 877. He passes Adolph Rupp as the all-time winningest coach D1 men's basketball. What did that mean for y'all? Because I know he was not all about the limelight, but what did it mean for y'all to get that win for him?
I think it was it was awesome just being a part of it. Now I'm gonna tell you, at that point in time, I was so locked in that I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't an outside guy. I didn't let too many things from the outside bother me. There was a job to be done, and that was my mindset. So, I thought it was awesome just to be on the floor, doing something of that magnitude for an individual of that magnitude. And when you're doing it and you're participating in it, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. And it didn't seem that big of a deal because Coach Smith didn't make it that big of a deal. That's not how he acted. And so, when you said I was talking about him passing Adolph Rupp, it's not like something that he ever talked about. And it was nothing that anybody around him talked about. And so, the media may say some things, but at that point in time, I'm locked in and I understood the magnitude of trying to get to the Final Four and win the national championship because I had that taste as a freshman. And then be knocked out in the second round my sophomore year, here it is. The opportunity is presented itself. And if I stay focused, we're gonna break a lot of other records as well. And so that being one was awesome. Coach Smith deserved it, and it was really great to see how many of his former players had come back to be there for that game. And so you look back and say, "My goodness, what if we would have lost?"
Yeah, I was in Winston-Salem too, so it was a good driving distance for everybody.
Yeah. So it was great. It was great. That's history. Yeah. And I thank the Lord that I had an opportunity to be a part of.
Yeah, that was an awesome moment. And this is one of the experiences that I think a lot of people can really learn from. You go from being ACC tournament MVP, East Regional MVP. Y'all got a week before the Final Four. You were red hot on the court. And then you get to the Final Four, play Arizona, and you went 1 for 13. But that whole team struggled in that game. What was your mindset after that, where you were just hot and then it was just like the whole team was ice cold in the national semifinals?
I just looked at it like, I didn't hit my shots, I wish that I did, but unfortunately, um, that wasn't in the cards for me that evening. The only thing that I knew from that point was, I had to make a decision if I was going to try to leave and go to the NBA, or come back to school. And, my mindset was I still had something to prove. And so, I mean, to have a lot of great games and then not have a great game, I mean, that's the job that I signed up for, to be to be the thoroughbred. Sometimes you have to be the donkey. So, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that responsibility because that's how I was raised.
Yeah.
I want that responsibility. That, hey, I won for 13 in the Final Four. I wasn't even all state in the state of South Carolina. So, hey.
What I really like about it is the so many people in your shoes would be like, oh, we were in the Hoosier Dome. It was a dome. Oh my gosh. They would have some sort of excuse, but you're just, I mean, what a good leadership lesson. You're just like, it's ownership. Look, I went 1 for 13, owned up to it.
I went 1 for 13, and like I said, I wish that I would have shot better. I don't know if I've ever. Well, I mean, I've never looked at it and said, you know what, like, place, like you said, place to, it's a lot of things that go wrong for a lot of people. And here it is, I'm gonna make an excuse about a basketball game. Man, please. Yeah. It's still basketball. There's a lot of people that have it worse than me that are having real life issues. And so, unfortunately, it just wasn't. I didn't hit shots. I'm not even gonna say it wasn't my day. I didn't hit shots because I got up, I was breathing, I played the game, I made it. We lost. We flew back to Chapel Hill. I made it back safely. So my family was okay. I mean, just unfortunately, I didn't shoot the ball well. And so
still in the record books as playing in the. You still shot better than I did in the Final Four. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's okay. It's okay. And like I tell my son now, he's 8, and the other night he missed a game-winning shot, and he was distraught, and he was, first thing he did, he just hit the ground and started crying, and I told him, get up. I said, listen, Daddy has been one of the best players in the world for a long time. I've been that, and I hadn't hit all my shots. So there's no need in taking this further than what it needs to be taken. You just missed a shot. Yeah. But I'm proud of you at 8 years old playing with 10, 11-year-olds. You were the guy that took the shot.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to be said about that.
That's leadership.
That's it. There's something to be said about that. And like I told him, I'm proud of it, because most people, especially being the youngest, they wouldn't have taken that shot. You took it, and it just rammed out. And when it rammed out, he was like, "Oh my!" He looked at me, and I was just like, "Get up, get up." Told him, to be the thoroughbred, you have to be willing to be the donkey.
Yeah.
And that was his donkey moment, but he's a thoroughbred for sure.
That's good. I appreciate you sharing that. And then, the following season, Coach Smith retires in October, right before the season starts. Did you have any idea, like, what was, take us back to?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't, because probably if I would have known, which is smart on Coach Smith's behalf.
Right before the season started. Right before it started.
Yeah, because if he knew, because we were really, really tight. And that's the one thing that he had promised me. He told me that he could assure me that he would be there my 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that was really, held highly within my family, especially with Rick Pitino recruiting, and the rumors of, what he could possibly do, leave Kentucky and go to the NBA, and so on and so forth. So, Smith and I, we had a conversation after that, but no, I mean, it was the first day of practice. And the first day of practice, we do the mile run where you actually make team. You have to make the mile time. And, we did that and we completed that. And Coach Smith asked Mactar and I, said, Shammond, I want to meet with the team. And you guys, do you guys want to go, because some people stayed off campus.
Yeah.
Some people stayed off campus. He said, do y'all want to go home and shower and come back, or do you want to have a meeting right now? And I said, we can have a meeting. We decided, Mactar and I, we had a meeting right now, Coach, and we all went to the Smith Center, not knowing what was going to happen. And Coach Smith got up in front of us, and you could see that he was getting a little emotional, and he said that he wasn't going to coach; he was going to resign. And so at the time, because of what I knew when he told me, I didn't really look at it to be an issue. Because I'm thinking, in my head, to Brendan and all of them, because they were freshmen. I was thinking, hey, you want to get you with it. You know what I mean? And I think I may have said it out loud. I was like, I said, man, well, we got to do it this year because this is going to be his last year. And I think Mactar said, Shammond, he's not right now. Like, what? I said, Coach, he ain't resigning right now. He was like, yeah, effective immediately, and so on and so forth. So, the first thing that I could ask was, are you okay? Is everything okay? He was like, yeah, everything was okay. And so it was like, whoa. This was, didn't know that I'd be standing on that side of history as well.
Yeah.
And so, that was big. It was impactful. Because of my relationship with him and what I felt like, the things that he had said to me, because, it wasn't a secret that I never had aspirations to play NBA basketball. That was nothing that I ever wanted to do. I just wanted to show people that I was a great basketball player. Mm-hmm. My dream was to work on Wall Street. And that's why I got an economics degree from North Carolina. And so industrial relations and economics. So going into my junior year, when I was in the gym working, Coach Smith came in the gym while I was, working out. And he walked up to me. He said, Shammond, I think you should think about doing this as a profession. And I was like, okay, okay. It wasn't going to change anything that I was doing because everybody tell you I was always in the gym anyway. Mm-hmm. I was always working. So it wasn't going to change who Shammond Williams was. And that was going into my junior year. Mm-hmm. And so, so at my senior year, I began to see that people appreciated my talent just beyond my environment. And so I knew that I was treading more to be a professional. Not that I wanted to, I knew that the opportunity could present itself. And so not to have him there was kind of difficult, for me personally, but got a job to do.
Yeah. And y'all adjusted really well. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that Coach Guthridge had been working with Coach Smith for, pretty much his entire tenure there. And so it wasn't like a whole new coach coming in with a whole new system. Y'all got hot in 98. Y'all loved some overtime games. Y'all played so much extra ball in 98, but you had
I loved it.
Oh yeah. You had 42 points against Georgia Tech. Y'all go to the Final Four. Unfortunately, got knocked out in the semifinals again by Utah. But you mentioned graduating from Carolina. What was that moment like, actually graduating and getting your degree?
that was the best thing that's ever happened to me associated with basketball. Because I was the first person to graduate from college in my family. And so it set a precedence in my family from that point forward that it was a prerequisite for everybody to go to college.
Nice.
My grandfather, my father was a brick mason. By that time, he had cement poison and had lost half of his leg, and to know that the man that he was and what he stood for, that's what I was striving to become and to be, and that's nothing against my father, my father, my stepfather. There's nothing against those because they great men. Make no mistakes, great men. But it was just something about my grandfather and the responsibility that he took, and what he stood for in our family. Everybody respected everybody. And to come down those steps and to see my grandfather at my graduation, that was big to me.
Yeah.
And my grandfather has a lot to celebrate. He had 6 kids. He had 2 grandsons to play in the NBA. One being Kevin Garnett.
May have heard of him before.
Yeah. That's my little cousin. And but we come out of the same environment, same household. My mother and his father, brothers, sisters. So, but that right there changed my whole family's perspective on a lot of things.
Yeah.
To have another cousin years later to graduate from the University of North Carolina as well. My brothers to graduate from college and things like that. And so now, we've done. I think we've been able to do things beyond the athletic perspective. We've been able to take our family to another level.
Yeah.
Which I know that my grandfather won, and so, graduating from the University of North Carolina is the best thing that I've ever done. That's the best thing, I think I've ever stood for, other than goal. And so, it's helped me a great deal. Coach Smith allowed that. That guy saw something in a kid that many did not see. Because of him and the way the Lord put those things together, I've been able to experience a lot of great things in my life. I've been able to help a lot of people. And, the kids and the environment, my community that I'm able to help each and every day is all predicated because of, the University of North Carolina.
And I will say you have the best backdrop of any guest I've ever had with your jerseys, and you got the Carolina diploma hanging up there. It's
yeah, you got my little bowl right there in the middle.
Jamie Valvano had the ESPY award from her father, and that's right up there with your background too. So a couple of final questions here.
No problem. Carolina
conversation to our guests listening, especially someone who's not really in the Tar Heel circle. I'm telling you right now, I have podcast journalistic integrity. I'm not siding with anyone here, but some amazing conversations.
I love the shirt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For those of you who can't see it, we just by chance happened to match with Carolina blue today. But
no question.
Fill us in on the Carolina conversation and where they can actually listen to it at.
Okay. The Carolina Conversation is on the Field of 68 Media Network. It was brought to me by Rob Doster and one of my friends, Jeff Goodman. It's something that they put together, and they thought it would be great for college fans. And they said that they needed somebody to do the University of North Carolina. And so for me, I was a little bit apprehensive about it. because I'm not a media guy. That's not my cup of tea. But they twisted my arm by telling me that Andre Dawkins was doing Duke. So
Oh yeah.
I said, hey, I have no choice. What other choice do I have? And it's really been great because they've allowed me to really just be myself and be able to coordinate the Carolina conversation the way that I wanted to do it. And that was the one thing, that the conversation that we had before I agreed to do it. I told him, I said, the Carolina conversation in UNC basketball is totally different than any other institution that you've ever seen or been around. We're not like everybody else. And so the way that I'm going to do things and the way things are done is probably going to be a lot different than everyone else. Nothing against any other institution. We're just different.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, he had no issues with that, because I let him know the Carolina family is not, it's not just the athletes. It's not the athletes. The Carolina family is the students, the fans, the alum. I mean, just we are a family, and a lot of people will tell you that. I take that to heart, and even when I see cars driving around in my city with the insignia, I stop it. And a lot of times, people get a little apprehensive because you're stopping them, and they're trying to figure out. And then once you get out the car, they look, they start. You're Shammond Williams, like yeah. I stop and we talk about, maybe they went to the University of North Carolina, maybe they're fans and stuff like that. But the one thing that Coach Smith helped us understand was the only reason that we're who we are is because of everybody else. It's not because of us. It's because of everybody else. And I understood that. I tell a lot of people that love the University of North Carolina. For me personally, I'm more like you than I probably am my teammates. And a lot of people are like, well, what do you mean by that? Yeah. I've been the person that I quote unquote have not. I've been the person on the outside. And so, I understand how you feel, or I understand how important these things are for you, and I understand how important you are for me. Because I've been the person that's on the outside, or understood, you wanted to interact with those people and stuff like that, because without those families and those people support you, Carolina basketball would be nothing. And so that's why it was kind of easy for me to do this with you.
Yeah.
Especially once you gave me your background and look up, the service that you've given, to our family, so we can do the things that we do each and every day. You've given your life. What is it for me to give my time to do something to support you, just to say thank you? There's not a lot of things that I can do, but if I can give you my time just to say, hey, Trip, thank you for all the time that you've given your life to us Americans, that we can live the way that we live. I mean, hey man, that's nothing, considering what you're doing each and every day and what you've done. So, there's a lot of people out there that we're not able to interact with, but hopefully this is a way that I can say thank you, for the selfless things that they're doing, and being away from their families. We know how important sports can be when you're in different parts of the world, or interacting in different things. We know how important it is, but trust me, we couldn't do the things that we do if it wasn't for people like yourself. And so, this is a great way for me to just say thank you for all the things that you guys do for us each and every day that doesn't get celebrated, that doesn't get talked about on podcasts, that you may feel like you're not appreciated, and maybe some people may not appreciate it, but at least you get to experience a person that does. And me and my family most definitely are appreciative of the things that you and the other service men and women do for our country, so we can have these podcasts and go play in these NCAA tournaments and so on and so forth. Yeah. So thank you, Trip.
Well, thank you for taking time. Very respectful of your time. I appreciate you joining us. This is the final installment of our Rebound series of episodes. And personally, as a Tar Heel fan, I mean, how cool of an experience was this to get to spend some time with you as well. But thank you very much. And folks, that is going to conclude this episode.
You have to change the F though. Say Tar Heel fan. You gotta say Tar Heel family.
Tar Heel family. There we go. There we go.
There you